You're the new guy. You've been in the band for well over a decade, and you're still the new guy. You know what I mean? It's got to be tough.
My question is, how have the Slackers stayed together for so long?
It's a brotherhood. It's a dysfunctional family, but it's a brotherhood and it's a family. Yeah, like you said, most marriages don't last 25 years. I'm surprised we haven't killed each other yet. I think that's a big part of it. Like, no one's willing to quit and let the other guys run away with the prize. The original band, we just kept adding people. So we started as a three-piece. Eventually, at one point, we had like a dozen people associated with the band. We trimmed that down to 7 and worked on that for about 10 years. And then we started losing members gradually as they had to get on with their lives. We lost our trumpet player, our singer, our original guitarist, and our original drummer. And the drummer and guitarist we replaced them with were guys we knew from back in the day when we were, putzing around the Lower East Side in the early 90s.
Speaking of Victoria and playing in Victoria, what are some of your favorite things about playing in Victoria or visiting Victoria?
One of the first few times coming over here, seeing bald eagles, like tens of them, and just being blown away by that. Like having never seen a bald eagle in my life, just being like, oh my God, dude. No, that's not necessarily the answer people were hoping and expecting. What do you like about this place? The ferry ride to the island is my favorite part.
Have you come across many Virgin City-like studios in your travels?
It was just something about New York City, the Lower East Side at that time. It was a real boiling cauldron of Jamaican influences. Really, when a lot of stuff started developing, but it all kind of coalesced around the early 90s and started to develop into something. And it wasn't just Virgin City, because it was happening in other parts of the city as well, with other bands and other groups of players. But Virgin City was definitely our central location. There has been a second wave, I'm not using that, I hate that expression. There's been a resurgence of like the Jamaican influence scene, and there's like a new generation of people who are doing it. And they weren't brought up by the older generation. They really did their own thing. They're aware of us, they like what we do, but they took that and they ran with it and developed their own thing. Bands like the Frighteners, I don't know how aware you guys are of the Frighteners, but that Frighteners record is killer. It's a killer record. I would go to their shindigs and be like, man, when I was like 20 whatever, doing this ska reggae stuff, you had to explain to people what ska was. Meanwhile, you guys have got a room packed full of cute girls and people are dressed nice and they're all digging on Jamaican music, and wow, this is exactly what I wanted when I was 20-something, and it just simply didn't exist. And these guys have created this really cool hip scene. It's great. I'm proud and jealous at the same time.
Slackers are celebrating 25th anniversary, but
Vic's one of these folks that's been doing music since he was a really young kid. He sang opera when he was really young. He's actually a really good bass player. Yeah, I have a feeling if he hadn't have gotten the whole Slackers thing, he would have kept playing bass, and he'd be, professional full-time bass player right now, instead of a professional full-time singer-songwriter. He just has it, you know what I mean? There's certain levels of the talent gift, and he got it. Extra scoops.
After 25 years, are there any places that you haven't played that are still on your wish list?
Alaska. We played every state but Alaska.
What inspired the decision to cover Madonna's Like a Virgin?
We play all sorts of songs. I think sometimes not knowing the origin of a song is really helpful in not allowing yourself to be unduly influenced by the baggage you associate with the song. It's a fine song, you know what I mean? It really is. It's a really good, solid pop song. But, it's a Madonna song, and it had whatever associated with it. But we just reinterpreted it.
What's next for the Slackers?
Well, we've been exploring this psychedelia thing on and off for a while. Everybody in the band is kind of into it in its own weird way. Now, dub music is pretty psychedelic, for instance. So it was kind of a natural thing for us to just move into weirder sounds, more extended harmonies, stuff like that. And this record, we really went for it. We decided, okay, we're not gonna dabble in psychedelia for a couple of songs. You're gonna go for this whole record and just be like, yes, we are basically a reggae ska band, but we are steeped in this tea of 60s psychedelia.
Is that a mushroom tea?
Yeah, it could well be. If you've seen the cover of the new record, I'd say clearly something like that was involved. We didn't choose to be in this kind of like punk ska thing. It's always struck us as really kind of odd because we're like, we play these slow, mellow love songs. And most of our material is about heartbreak and abandonment. It's not exactly your typical hardcore punk rock stuff, but it's like, I always imagine if you look at the record collections of Slackers fans, you're going to get a really broad variety of stuff. They may self-identify as punks or whatever, but they're going to have jazz, they're going to have salsa, they're going to have reggae, a wide variety of stuff.
Let Vic possess you to answer this question? Like, let him embody your mind?
Yeah.
Get some Vic in you?
Right. Yeah. How you doing?
All right, I'm addressing Marcus right now as Vic. So Vic, you've spent some time during your career couch surfing and sleeping at Virgin City as well. Do you think you'd have reached the same level of success had you not taken that leap?
Yeah, I'd probably be a lot more successful if I'd, taken any kind of leap in some kind of direction other than living on a couch or sleeping in a basement with rats. I mean, there's not really a lot of room to go down, so clearly I would have had to have gone up somewhere.
It's good.
And Virgin City was full of rats. The stories are not remotely exaggerated. It's under a record store. You go down these rickety wooden steps into like an antechamber, which has got a big hole in the middle of it, which is just for drainage. But a lot of people shared the space, and many of them would piss in the hole. And every now and again, somebody would do laundry or whatever, and soap bubbles and shit would come out of the hole and just flood the area. So it was full of soapy piss bubbles. The place was spectacular.
Sounds like a jam.
Oh, yeah. So, yes, if your question is, do you think there would have been any progress better than that? I can't imagine any progress below that. So, yeah, I think Vic would have done spectacularly well by comparison. There's going to be a point, if you're going to be a professional musician, there's going to be a point where the time and energy requirements of your musical career are going to be so great that they overwhelm other job opportunities. You have to devote your time to being a musician. But at the same time, you don't make any money as a musician. So yeah, there's a really tough transition period in there where you've got to either live on next to nothing or find a way to supplement your income without actually doing any work that requires time. You're starting a business. It's a small business. You've got to look at it like you're running a restaurant or a shop or something. It's no different. If you don't put time, effort, and money back into it, it won't grow. It's its own organism. You've got to feed it. You've got to take care of it and let it grow and be what it can be.
Well, let's end it there.
All right,
Marcus, thanks very much for joining me.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
look forward to the show tonight.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. We'll see how it works out.
It's been a couple of years since I've seen you guys play, so.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
No?
No, it has. We have a new record.
We're gonna pull out all the stops for you, Victoria. Whatever you want to hear, we'll try to get to it. But until then, this one's off our new record. You're the man working overtime. Oh,